Hello and welcome to our latest edition of Business Spotlight. Today I'm going to be talking to David Elverson from CommercialGov. David, welcome. It's lovely to have you with us.
Thank you for having me.
Good stuff. David, why don't you start off by telling us a little bit about what CommercialGov does?
Yeah, absolutely. So CommercialGov, we're a management consultancy, and we specialize in supporting the commercial development of the public sector using a very broad definition of commercial. So in essence, anything that helps the public sector make money or save money.
Fantastic. And how long have you been running?
So CommercialGov's been going for about 8 years now. Prior to that, I was in the consulting industry before, but CommercialGov as an entity has been going about 8 years.
Fantastic. So what sort of thing would people and clients come to you to work with them on?
So a typical client might be a council or an NHS trust. I'm sure everyone hears in the news quite frequently how public sector budgets are incredibly tight. So we work with them to make the most of assets that they have. They have a lot of buildings, car parks, or whatever the case may be. They've got a lot of skills as well. And it's how can they utilize those to perhaps generate income that they wouldn't have otherwise had, which can then take away some of the budget pressures and protect some of the frontline services that they deliver to communities.
Fantastic. And what sort of geographical range do you have then with those that you work with?
Yeah, we work right across the UK. So at the moment, the big projects we're working on, there's one in the east of England and one in the southwest and one in the northwest.
So you're spread far and wide. Wonderful.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, and so you mentioned that you had been in consultancy previously. What got you into working in this way in CommercialGov?
I think what I love about consultancy is one project's never the same as the next. So the variety that comes with it and the chance to add real value before perhaps being too honest, getting bored and moving on. Which for me and the way I work, I really like. I like to be able to add value in all sorts of different areas. So quite early on in my career, I moved into consultancy as I realized actually that would suit me. I like being able to spend a period of time, add as much value as I can, and then move on to something that's a bit different with a bit of variety, different people to work with. It works really well for me.
Fantastic. We like that kind of honesty on this series. It's great. And when you think about running the business, I mean, you're managing director of CommercialGov. What is it about running the business that you enjoy the most?
Ooh, I enjoyed pulling all of the pieces of the jigsaw puzzle together, because I think again it probably suits me. There's so much variety. I'm not just head down in a consulting assignment, although I do quite a few of those myself. I'm also got an overview of the business development to keep an eye on the sales pipeline and what's coming next. There's the people aspect of it to make sure the rest of the team are happy, working well, etc., etc. And obviously the finance side of it as well, which digging around in numbers is probably ultimately the reason I got into consultancy in the first place. So I think again that variety of all of those different aspects that you need to do as a managing director suits me, and I really quite enjoy that variety as well.
It's great. It sounds like it's a real theme running through what you do and what you love, which is fantastic. I mean, I guess since yeah. I guess since you started off 8 years ago, there've been a number of changes through the pandemic and coming out the other side of that, but also the economic climate that we're seeing those ever uncertain times in. Have you had to make any changes in the business as a result of those changes that we've seen?
Yeah, absolutely. Constant changes, really. I mean, the public sector is an ever-changing landscape as different government policies mean there's a different focus on what needs to be done. So it really almost is a year-to-year basis of to some degree reinventing ourselves, or that's probably taking it too far, but certainly refocusing so that we're able to support our clients where the latest big agenda is. I mean, during the pandemic, as with everyone else, we quickly had to reinvent ourselves entirely and move to online delivery, and most of the core work that we do around commercial development was parked for quite a while. So we then got involved in sort of COVID recovery for the public sector and that side of things. So yeah, I think understanding what's coming and what the latest areas of focus are, and then making sure that we can align ourselves to that is a really important thing.
Yeah, and I guess that brings its own sense of variety as well. So maybe no bad thing to have all those changes. What do you find then today are the biggest challenges in running the business?
I'd say the biggest challenges today, I mean, off the back of the pandemic, we've grown by about 500% in the last 2 years now. And we've done that with a spread workforce. So we don't have a central office anymore, and I have, a staff member in Carlisle, someone else in Yorkshire, someone else, down south. So certainly one of the big challenges is how we remain team in this new, modern way of working. It works fantastically for the clients, but how we actually remain team and get the balance right between the virtual and the physical and that side of things. I'd say that's one of the biggest challenges at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. And something I think that people watching and listening to this will really connect with, because I think people are experiencing that with the hybrid workforce, but as you say, with clients as well. I mean, let's look to the future then for a moment. What are your aspirations for CommercialGov for the next few years?
Yeah, I'd like us to consolidate some of the growth that we've had, but one of our one of the things we're starting to work with some other small consultancies who are also in the public sector space to try and create an umbrella offering to in a sense rival the big four consultancies. A lot of our work actually comes off the back of them, where they perhaps charge quite a lot, and the public sector organization is still left, well, we're not quite sure how to fully implement things successfully. But they're low risk. They're low risk for them to procure because they've got that brand behind them, etc., etc. So being able to move into slightly bigger, slightly more strategic projects as part of a collaboration of others like us is something that we're looking to in the coming years.
Yeah, it sounds fantastic, and by working with those other consultancies as well, it's expanding that experience, I guess, further. I mean, when you look back at over the years that you've worked and all the things that you've learned along the way, would it be possible to pick out one thing that you wish you could do differently if you started again?
I think in the early years, a recurring mistake I made was trying to do everything myself. And I did it to try and keep costs low for understandable reasons. But actually the result of it was there were, perhaps a few elements. I'm thinking particularly when I foolishly tried my hand at doing my own graphic design, stupid mistake, but kept the cost low. But it took me so much time that could have been so much more valuable spent where my strengths are. So I think one of the things I've learned, and certainly would do differently if I started over again, would be clear about what I'm good at, what I'm not good at, and recognize that bringing in expertise is generally worth it.
Absolutely. I mean, it sounds like that's some great advice for anyone who is listening to this and maybe considering starting up themselves. So thank you so much for sharing your thoughts and reflections. It's been such a pleasure talking to you today. For anyone who would like to find out a bit more about CommercialGov, how do they go about it? Where can you point them to?
Yeah, well, we've got a website, which is commercialgov.co.uk, and also the CommercialGov page is on LinkedIn as well, which is just search CommercialGov and I'm sure you'll find us.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Lovely to speak to you today, and wishing you all the very best for the future of the business.
Great. Thanks, Jenny.